So, John, it looks when you look at the market pricing, when you look at things like our own survey of economists, people are coalescing around the view that the Fed is finally going to pull the trigger in December and start raising interest rates. But you make a good point in your column this morning, which is that this confluence of growing conviction that the Fed will tighten while the European Central Bank looks ready to gear up for another round of quantitative easing, and you combine that with bad numbers out of Japan today, you're seeing the dollar take off.
Right.
And that is creating monetary tightening of a different variety. And to me, it's just like, it looks to me kind of like the Fed's playing with fire here. This determination to press ahead with a rate increase is creating a major divergence with other countries and a tightening that could actually end up overdoing it.
Well, so I think the Fed runs the risk here of getting caught in a position where it and its own rhetoric they're chasing their tails, right? So in September, the Fed alerted the markets that it was concerned about global developments and financial developments because there were worries about what was happening in China. The dollar had been strengthening. So they didn't move in September, and they signaled that was in part because of global financial market developments. In October, they took that warning out of the statement. And what's happened since they took the warning out of the statement? The dollar's gotten stronger. Japan reported its second straight quarter of economic contraction. We now have these horrible attacks in Paris, and these global developments appear again to be reasserting themselves. So what does the Fed do? Does it put it back in December after taking it out in October? I mean, I think they have a problem, and they could be accused potentially of getting ahead of themselves and signaling an all clear on whether these restraints globally are going to continue to hold them back. Having said that, I still think they're going to move in December unless we see some very weak data between now and then. So I think your skepticism might be a little bit overdone here. They've pretty much signaled that they want to go in December. But I think these global developments that we've seen in the last few weeks potentially assert themselves in 2016, and the Fed keeps getting held back then.
Right. So I don't doubt that the Fed is more likely than not to move in December. What I doubt is whether it's the right move. I just don't see what the rush is, and I especially don't see what the rush is given what these global developments are telling us. And you point out that they put that language in September about global worries. They took it out in October. But to me, the issue was never, well, are the markets a little unsettled because the Shanghai stock market has fallen sharply? It's what is going on in the real economy out there. And as you say, the data has continued to come in on the soft side. Yeah. If you look at those parts of the U.S. economy that are exposed to the world, this morning we had a very weak reading from the Empire State Survey on manufacturing activity in New York. The stronger dollar is probably going to put further downward pressure on that sector. I just don't see what the hurry is. That said, I buy it that they're more likely than not to move, given that most of the domestic data is strong. But it looks to me like there's got to be growing attention to what happens after that meeting, the language they give us thereafter.
And I think what you end up with is if they move, they've got to give the Dove. Janet Yellen has to give doves on her committee something to hold on to. We're talking about global spillovers. Lael Brainerd, a Fed governor, gave a very interesting speech last week where she suggested the Fed is trapped in this cycle. The more aggressively it moves, the more upward pressure it's putting, not just on U.S. rates, but on the dollar, which blows back into the U.S. So I think that if they move in December, they're going to have to give people like Lael Brainerd something to hang on to.